All right, I'm gonna get into. Yeah, again, Jamie Dimon said the same thing. Worries him most about the entire world. Oh, he's a smart guy. It's the war in Ukraine, war between Russia and Ukraine, which has become a proxy war for the United States as well. And he mentioned, and like I did here on the program, this is the biggest geopolitical problem since World War II. This is much, much, much bigger than 9/11, war on terror, Afghanistan, all this other stuff, ISIS. This is a much bigger deal. And this is why it's unfortunate we're not really paying, our media's not paying much attention to it all. You know, from time to time, oh, Zelensky was here, and they always talk about the money that we continue to send to the Ukraine. But there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to this entire story. I'm going to go back about a week and a half ago. China has got this ceasefire proposal that fell kind of flat. I know what China's trying to do. They're trying to offer themselves up as a bit of an alternative, as a way of, I guess, try to mediate the situation, come in like a hero to the entire thing. But some of the things that they put in their proposal were patently absurd. You can't allow for a ceasefire when, again, it's going to allow the Russian troops to just, get entrenched and reload. It was a bit nonsensical. But the reality of the situation is, and again, if you actually get accounts of what's going on in certain areas, this Wagner group, they're grabbing people out of Russian prisons, cutting deals with them to get rid of their sentence and just throwing them there in the front lines, and they're just getting mowed down. We've seen the films Gallipoli. Gallipoli was with Mel Gibson. The other one was Paths of Glory with Kirk Douglas. Yeah, just sending kids just to get mowed down. And in Gallipoli, it was the English sending the Australian fighters off to get gunned down by machine gun fire, and Paths of Glory, it was the French commander sending his French soldiers out to get killed. It's sickening if you actually think about it, but that's what's going on. And again, they'll empty the Russian prisons, use them for cannon fodder. You talk about the type of weaponry that's being spent and being used against you. It's a simple game of algebra. You just take a look at the numbers. You just take a look at the numbers, and the numbers, quite frankly, just don't add up. They don't. And it's interesting as well is that, again, this is a story that didn't get much play. You had an NBC reporter going to Crimea and actually pointing out that, gee whiz, the people in Crimea see themselves as Russian. And I said this from the get-go. Again, you can take a look at a map of Europe and see how it's been carved up a multitude of times over the past several hundred years. Crimea, that's the home to the Black Sea Fleet for Russia. If you think that they're going to give that up, you're crazy. They're not going to do that. It's not going to happen. And again, like I said, the people there feel like they're Russian. So again, can we come up with something? Again, we're getting lied to. That's a regular thing. This was actual New York Times story. Now, remember, Seymour Hersh, well-respected journalist, great track record uncovering the stories of the government, lies to the American people, cover-ups, My Lai massacre, Abu Ghraib, wrote a very well-sourced piece showing that the United States took out the Nord Stream pipeline. Did you see the headline from this past week? Intelligence suggests pro-Ukrainian group sabotage pipelines, U.S. officials say. New intelligence reporting amounts to the first significant known lead about who was responsible for the attack on the Nord Stream pipelines that carried natural gas from Russia to Europe. This is the first lead? The New York Times, didn't Seymour Hersh just put out a piece? Do people believe this? I'm at this point in time, again, I'm old. I've been getting lied to for decade after decade after decade. And I see, U.S. intelligence or intelligence says this or intelligence says that. Yeah, I'm like, we're being lied to. Whether it be about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq and Yellow Cake. I mean, it's countless occasions. I don't believe this. You think a pro was it one of those Nazified Ukrainian groups that they managed to find out to get that type of explosive equipment to perform an underwater operation? This is not blowing up some train tracks, for crying out loud. It's a little bit more complicated than that. You think some ragtag group of pro-Ukrainians did this? Again, I'm going to go to Michael Corleone. Don't lie to me. You're insulting my intelligence. You insult my intelligence. You're insulting my intelligence with this piece. You really are. You expect us to buy in to this bull excrement. I want to go over this. Because, again, right now, again, one of the stories, I didn't get a chance to comment on it. I wish I had. It's one of the things, when I'm doing TV, it's just the way it works. I do a lot of homework in regards to every topic that we're going to go over there, and I can chime in on anything. And it's a lot of times they kind of like pass you over when you're on a panel. But anyway, neither here nor there. Talking about, China's increasing its military spending, and again, they never present, what is China spending on its military vis-a-vis the United States. You can't even compare. You can't. What are they spending? About maybe 28, 29% of what we spend. We're woefully unprepared, and I'll get into that in a bit. But here's the story. Bet you didn't realize this. Our military aid so far to Ukraine, and it never just stops. It never stops. Every day we're dropping more money over there. They've received more military aid than the entire military expenditure in the war in Afghanistan from 2001 to 2010. It's in a year. Just get your arms around that. So, get this piece, Wall Street Journal, Michael Gordon. The U.S. is not ready for the era of great power conflict. Since 2018, the military shifted focus on China and Russia after decades fighting insurgencies, but it still faces challenges to produce weapons and come up with new ways of waging war. A classified Pentagon war game simulated a Chinese push to take control of the South China Sea. Air Force officer charged with plotting the service's future learned that China's well-stocked missile force had rained down on the bases and ports the U.S. relied on the region, turning American combat aircraft and munitions into smoldering ruins in a matter of days. My response, holy crap, we're going to lose if we fight like this. Then he started doing some work to try to come up with solutions to the problem. I did not have an idea how to resolve them. I was struck how quickly China had advanced and how our long-held doctrines about warfare were becoming obsolete. Sound familiar? 5 years ago, after decades fighting insurgencies in the Middle East and Central Asia, the U.S. started tackling a new era of great power competition with China and Russia. It isn't ready, and there are major obstacles in the way. Our military budget has risen to more than $800 billion a year. We have been fighting wars in Iraq and Afghanistan for decades. We have misspent money. Pursuit of big ticket weapons that didn't pan out. Internal U.S. government debates over budgets and disagreement over the urgency of the threat from Beijing. Continuing concerns in the Mideast, especially about Iran and the Russian invasion of Ukraine, absorbed attention and resources. Fewer arms manufacturers, shipyards struggling to produce the submarines, and Navy says it needs to counter China. Money, money, money. You look at some of these stories that they're talking about. Oh, big weapons purchases, big weapons programs that didn't pan out. Oh, it panned out. It panned out for the weapons manufacturer, panned out for the members of Congress who were involved in those deals that got the kickbacks. Sure, it panned out. Panned out for who? The fact that we spend this type of money and we're woefully unprepared. I mentioned Vivek Ramaswamy, who's wants to run for president, and talked about firing civil service workers. I would pretty much freaking empty the Pentagon. I would. I mean, the 4-star generals are gone. Gone. I mean, is there any repercussions for you're just our complete lack of preparedness? Isn't that what your job is? How much money do you need? Exactly. Again, oh my God! China's raising its military expenditures by $15 billion. We just spent we just sent $50 billion to Ukraine. And this is a headline. Oh boy, here they come. Listen, I would be handling China much differently. The reality of the situation in China, as difficult as they are, they need us. Now, they need us. This is just a fact. They need us more than they need Russia. I know. This is Xi Jinping. He's not Hu Jintao. He's not Deng Xiaoping. He's not any of his predecessors. I get that. He's much more in the Mao camp. But if you actually see what's taking place in China right now, you have cities, major metropolitan areas that are going bankrupt. They have no money. They're out. They're going to start defaulting on their debt. Government workers are not getting paid. Reading a piece, these people, and again, what's pathetic about it, people have been showing up to their job for months. They keep showing up. Street sweepers, this one, that, and they haven't gotten paid. At some point in time, there's going to be some blowback, and you're going to start seeing it. Again, you think about, we're already starting to see supply chains shift out of China. If you don't think that scares the crap out of them? Of course it does. I'm trying to put this together here. Everything that we buy from China, and all of a sudden that just stops. War, say, God forbid, war breaks out. There's no more commerce being done. Again, you're not going to be able to get your Pottery Barn stuff anymore, and a lot of cheap crap that they sell in big box stores all over. I get it. It's not just there. It's just the amount of things that we get from there. But again, it's going to hurt them too. It's going to hurt them too. Who are they going to sell to? So again, I think that there's a way that cooler heads can prevail when it comes to this situation. Again, we talk about our budget deficits, we talk about our national debt, and we take a look at our defense and the waste that's involved, the incompetence inside the Pentagon. It's pathetic and sad. It really is. Again, it was floated out there that China might start supplying Russia with weapons. We'll see. We'll see. God willing, they don't start doing that and escalate and make the situation worse than it already is. Again, who knows if they're doing it, on the sly. We do know North Korea is providing Russia weapons. I mean, you got to think about that for a second. You're always talking about Russia, Russia, Russia. Big, oh my God, terrible. Yeah, they got nukes. But again, I mean, they need to get supplies from North Korea. They're not as strong as everybody's making them out to be. But anyway, we need to start, again, looking towards paths to least resistance when it comes to these things. And again, do I think there's a great deal that could be had with China? Yeah, absolutely. Is it going to be easy? No. But is it going to be much better than going to war? Damn straight. WatchDog on WallStreet.com.